spectacular.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I feel like I'm being transported somewhere.
Bianca, how are you?
I'm good. So
It's
good
awesome to see you. Great to see you as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, look where we are. Downtown San Diego, the gas lamp, February.
I know. It's so
Nice.
beautiful here. I'm so happy you came down. I'm really excited to share with you a little bit about the gas lamp quarter. I know you and my husband have had your fair share of fun here, and I want to show you a little bit more about the gas lamp quarter, specifically the history and some hidden spots. So why don't we get to it?
I like it. Let's
All
go.
right, let's go.
Go. Tell me a little bit about how long you've been doing this and why you decided to do like a downtown tour.
I've been coming to the gas lamp quarter since I was 16 years old, and I
Okay.
loved the just entertainment, the dining, the glitz factor about it since back then. And after I turned 21 and started coming out, I actually took my first tour here, and I could not believe the history of the area that I had never heard about until I took my first tour. And I was wondering how many locals don't know our city's history. So I was inspired to do a little bit more research about the history, and I was just shocked at this scandal. And this area used to be a big red light district. And, you know, with that, I decided to come up with a fun tour that would allow people to taste some of the flavors of the gas lamp quarter and learn the history.
Yeah, because normally we come down here, you're like, all right, let's go downtown. You go to like one bar and then you go home and you're like, oh, what do we do?
Yeah, you don't really like look at the buildings or really appreciate it.
No.
But I do want to show you something, so
Okay.
this is our first stop.
All right, cool. Let's check it out.
All right. So the gas lamp quarter, it's about 16 and a half blocks of registered historic district. And one way you know that you're in the gas lamp quarter is when you're walking on brick. And it's normally just regular red brick, but you'll see we're here in between 4th and 5th on Island, that the brick is different colors. Well, this actually is supposed to signify the Chinese district of early San Diego. There are so many Chinese coming in at that time to help with, you know, the construction infrastructure of San Diego that they had no choice but to live in one specific area, and
Okay.
this area was known as the Stingery District.
Oh, really? Stingery?
Yeah, you remember
The
that?
Stingery, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the nightclub.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about it too.
No, the nightclub was actually named after this district,
Okay.
and the Stingery was a restricted area where women were not allowed to walk the streets, children were certainly not allowed in this
Oh, wow.
area, and it was pretty much a lawless area for the early red light district and port days.
Wow. What years are we talking?
So the port was built in 1869.
Okay.
And it really didn't clean up, like really clean up till 1930s. I'd even say like
Maybe in the 40s.
1970s.
Oh, wow, wow.
Was
Okay.
really when it started to clean up for good.
Wow.
But one thing that I do like about just this part of the gas lamp quarter is instead of the gas lamps that we all know of, you actually have Chinese-inspired
Oh, wow.
street lamps here.
Okay. I never noticed that. I'm
course
glad you
not.
pointed that out. So when I come down with my mom and dad and stuff, I can point cool stuff
Yeah,
out
you
versus
can
like, oh, I was
tell.
at that bar, I was at that.
Yeah, you can tell them some interesting stories, right?
Totally cool.
So the gas lamp quarter has about 94 registered historic buildings.
94?
Yeah,
Wow.
and this one I think is one of the most impressive ones. This is the Horton Grand Hotel, and isn't it awesome? It is a beautiful Victorian style building. One thing that's interesting is this building was originally built about 5 blocks north where Horton Plaza is today.
They moved it or what?
Yeah, so they sawed it up into 10,000 pieces when it was kind of decrepit and no one wanted to do anything with it, and they were gonna build the mall. And they put it into storage, and a real estate investor found out about this, and
So
he
cool.
bought it for $1 and promised that he'd put it back in the gas
No
lamp quarter.
way. So Bianca, there's so much history that I literally had no idea about down here.
I know, so many people don't. I was talking to you about Ida Bailey, who was a madam at one of the more popular brothels of the time.
Okay.
She ran the Canary Cottage, which was a little cottage behind one of these historic buildings. And
So crazy.
her Canary Cottage is actually right over here.
No way.
So her clients would ring a bell, and she would meet them right here, where there was also a gate, make sure they were sober, good to go, they had money,
Okay.
and then she'd bring them back to her Canary Cottage, and that's where they'd
So
meet
crazy.
the girls.
And was that in like the late 1800s as well, or?
Yeah, 1880s, 1890s.
Wow, that's
yeah.
awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Cool. So the codes still work?
You wouldn't want to know, huh?
No.
Well, obviously, history is a big thing, but the food and drink in the gas lamp quarter is also a major part. I do want to take you to one of the restaurants that we go to. That's an iconic restaurant here in the gas lamp quarter.
Cool. Let's go.
All right, cool. So the last stop on your tour, Mark, is the Field.
Awesome.
This is
I love the spot.
Isn't it awesome? This is one of our spots on the Brothels Bites and Booze tour.
Okay.
It's an iconic spot in the gas lamp quarter. It's been here for over 20 years. Everything within this pub has actually been brought from a different pub in Ireland. So
No
this
way,
is the
really?
most authentic Irish pub experience you'll get in San Diego.
Nice.
And like I said, it's been here for over 20 years. So it's definitely a staple when you
Nice.
come to the
I've
area.
definitely had a few pints in here. All this walking and talking and history, which has been so great, has made me thirsty. Let's go check it out.
Yeah, let's
All right,
go.
go. Hey, thanks so much. Really had a good time. I can't believe how much history's down here. I really learned a lot. You know,
Good.
when you think about tours, I would have never envisioned that downtown San Diego had so much history, so
I
I
know.
really appreciate it. Look at this awesome food, and
Yeah, well, if you ever want to come on a tour, So Diego Tours.
cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Shelter Island, I don't get down here enough.
I know, Shelter Island is such a cool spot to be. It's an iconic place in San Diego. You have all the sailboats, you have the fishing, everything is here. It's been here a long time, but it's going through a renaissance.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of new development. There's a lot of cool new restaurants and bars in the area. And one of them is Catch Grill and Taps, and right here on Shelter Island. And we're gonna go inside, we're gonna meet Matt, who is the brains behind this whole new concept.
I like that.
All right,
let's
let's
go
go.
meet Matt. Ryan, you are creating a lot of hype out here, and I will say this place is well worth the hype. This beautiful backdrop, it doesn't get any better than this.
I'm not going to steer you wrong.
No.
This is one of the coolest, newest hotspots in Point Loma. You absolutely cannot beat a setting like this, the view, the great food, the great beer. So I had to let you know a little bit more of what Point Loma has to offer. And I brought Matt here because he's a big part of what we're seeing.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Tony.
So
Appreciate it.
tell us a little bit about how Catch got started.
So Catch was a longtime restaurant here on Shelter Island since the late 1950s here in Point Loma. And over the years, it became a longtime Point Loma establishment, the Red Sails Inn. And about 3 years ago, the owner of the restaurant came to my brother, who runs the Brigantine Restaurants, which Catch is part of, and said he was retiring and he wanted to know if we wanted the lot, that we wanted to buy his lease out from the port. So, I mean, as you look around, this location was too good to bypass. So we thought, well, what can we do here to take advantage of this spot? So Catch Grill and Taps was born. Kind of a new American seafood concept focusing on bar food and craft beer and just showcasing the beautiful landscape that San Diego has to offer.
And focusing on that amazing view. Literally, as we're sitting here, there's like seals back there, people fishing. It's awesome.
There's some incredible yachts that I'm like
some $100
got
million
my eye
yachts
on.
back there.
Yeah.
It's a great place. And you said you're a part of the Brigantine, so that's a huge company that you've been a part of.
Yeah, it's awesome. My folks actually started it, so I've been a part of it my whole entire life. But it started, like I said, in '69. Now we've got 7 Brigantines and 6 Miguels, and now this Catch Grill and Taps, as well as Catch Brewing, our in-house brewery, which is up in Kearney Mesa. And we're developing a new spot down on the Embarcadero of San Diego called Portside Pier, which will showcase all of our concepts under one roof.
And how'd you discover Catch then?
You know, a colleague of mine that lives here in Point Loma said, you guys need to check this place out, and he wasn't lying. So he introduced me to Matt, and so this is my new hangout spot, I think. So.
Your new and permanent hangout spot. And I love it too because Point Loma has been going through a lot of changes. So it was fantastic then, but I feel like it's starting to build on itself. So a lot going on, and you're kind of taking the forefront on that, bringing a restaurant like this here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. From the residential side, like I said, I was born and raised here, as were my parents. They went to Point Loma High School. I went to Point Loma High School. So watching this residential renaissance take place, a lot of these old, small, kind of World War II era homes going out and being replaced with these beautiful new condominiums. And you know, from the commercial side, we want to do the same thing. All these great folks that are moving to Point Loma, we want to have, you know, give them the best offerings and modern dining and location and hopefully bring it as best we can.
Location, location, location. And you actually have a place that you just built to be able to enjoy a view like this.
Exactly, and just like Matt said, I think Point Loma has really gone through a renaissance, like you said, a good way to describe it. And we have an investor client that 4 years ago we approached about a double lot that had some rundown single level homes on it, and gave the vision of creating what has now just been completed, which is 8 townhomes that have panoramic views of the bay, downtown at night. It's sandwiched between the beach and the bay. And so it just fully takes advantage of the amenities, of the lifestyle that Point Loma has. Definitely have a contemporary, cool vibe to the townhomes, and you can walk to this restaurant.
Yes.
You can walk to sport fishing, you can walk to sailing opportunities, you've got downtown, you've got Coronado. Everything is at your fingertips. You would think that it's going to be just a millennial kind of buyer, but there are empty nesters, and it's kind of continuing a trend that we're seeing where empty nesters are saying, you know, I'm kind of done with the suburbs. I want the lifestyle, I want the action, I want to be able to walk, I don't want to have to park, you know, drive anywhere. So that's really what these townhomes offer.
Here it's like living in a resort. You can walk from restaurant to restaurant, and in what was, you know, a small town, Fisher's Village pretty much, is now booming.
As you said, it's continuing to grow, and like you said, Point Loma is so walkable. There's so many things you can do, and that's what we want to capitalize with Catch. It's a great location. You can just walk down here. We have a dock. You can, if you have a boat, go to your boat and bring your boat on over and come up with the dock and dine with us.
So you actually have parking spots.
Yeah, we have parking spots for the boat. Additionally, we have a coffee and gelato shop incorporated with the restaurant right across the driveway. So walk down in the morning. We have beautiful seats out here. Just encompass that whole entire San Diego Point Loma lifestyle that Ryan was talking about.
And also, your food is incredible, right?
It
so
is.
Keeping that fisherman style food, but adding a little bit of new American chic, I guess you say?
Just kind of a new American modern twist on seafood, but it's still nothing's overly complicated. In front of you, we have these sea salt pretzels that, like I said, our menu kind of focuses on craft beer. We have our own craft brewery, plus we keep a lot of the local brands in stock as well. And then this in front of me, this is one of the cooler things. This is our Big Eye tuna. And it's bluefin tuna that's locally caught. There's a boat that we have a partnership with right here in this basin called the Tommy John, and he calls our chef from his cell phone as soon as he gets cell phone coverage and says, hey, I've got a swordfish or 2 bluefin and a yellowfin. What do you want to buy? So
it
pretty
doesn't get
cool.
any fresher than that.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
Is that why you call it Catch? Because Man, that's quite the catch.
It's a little bit of play on words. Ketch is also a type of boat, the way it's spelled. Ketch is a type of sailing boat, and a brigantine is also a type of sailing ship. So it's a little bit of a play on words that it plays on that heritage of our restaurants, but then obviously the fresh catch aspect of it as well. So.
Oh my gosh. So I know this has been here a little over a year, right? What is in store? Do you guys have more venues that you're hoping to open up?
So, like I said, down in our water side, or we're calling it Portside Pier Development on the Embarcadero San Diego, right by the cruise ship terminal, we will have a catch incorporated. It's a 42,000 square foot development, so pretty huge. So we'll have a brigantine, a Miguel's, and that will be our second catch. But this is definitely a concept that we like, and it's done really well. I think it lends itself to more waterfront locations. So if we can find the real estate, yeah, it's a great concept that we'd love to carry forward.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I could make Catch a destination every day. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Connie.
Thanks for having us. This car, talk about a classic.
Well, just like the house. So I wanted to show up like that, and I have way more to show you inside. You're going to be so surprised.
With an entry like that, I can't wait to see what's inside. Sean, this is like a sanctuary.
Well, it truly is. It's so great. The architecture fits into the topography and the landscape. So when the owners decided what kind of home they wanted, they specifically looked for a lot just like this, because it really is integrated into the lot. It's super private on 3 of the sides, which is great because there's the bluff on that side, but then straight down, that's to the ocean. That was one of their goals for the whole city of Del Mar. They really wanted a natural community that blended with the way the community should look. So they wanted to make a glass contemporary house that fit in with all that you see. And I think they were super successful.
Oh my gosh, unbelievably successful. That's the first thing I noticed, is that you really do feel like you're in nature.
Well, and know what's so interesting is all along the coastline, there's houses that get built and tore down, built and tore down, especially in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Homes weren't built like this. And this one truly is like an architectural masterpiece, almost like a collectible type house, because there's such a following for mid-century modern architecture now. And at the time, this was considered contemporary, and then it got the name mid-century modern many, many years later, because that was a specific period in time, a specific style like this.
And I can't believe this was built in the 60s, because it looks like it was built a month ago.
It looks like what everybody wants right now, right?
Yes, just the lines so crisp and clean. It's
And
stunning.
so fresh.
Absolutely.
Yep. So there's somebody that I want to introduce you to inside. Christopher and I are co-listing the house, and we decided to collaborate on this because we both have such a passion for design and architecture, and he specifically even had more knowledge about mid-century modern. We were so excited when we got called to do this house and to list this house, and we get to share it with everybody, because truly it's a piece of art as well as a home.
Like you said, a true masterpiece.
Yep. Hi, Christopher. This is Tawny.
Hi.
Tawny.
It's nice to meet you. This house is beautiful.
Right? Sean, I'm so excited to be partnering up with you on this listing and co-listing it, because I think between the two of us, what we know about Del Mar and what we know about the history of homes in Del Mar is something great.
And it's so interesting because there's not that many mid-century modern homes that are left in San Diego County. Like a lot, like over the period of time, like they were kind of altered too much, and this one was really preserved 100%. And it's interesting because this house has never been on the market before.
Really?
So that's what we're so excited about, and I think the community is excited to see it.
Talking about the architect, I thought it was really cool that they went to school together at USC. So there was a friendship in place before the design of the house was even thought of. So when they originally met, Bob Jones had a good understanding of Mr. and Mrs. Johnson and how they like to live. So I thought that was a huge asset when it came to him designing the house and creating it particularly for them and for the lot that they own.
That's
Yep.
probably why they stayed this long,
Well,
right?
Yeah, and it was such an interesting collaboration because with the owners, along with the architect, and then the architect his relationship with the builder, because they ended up going on to do many, many collaborations together, the architect and the builder, throughout like the San Diego coastline. Whenever you see kind of the mid-century cantilevered homes, I think they almost always did those ones together.
And especially throughout San Diego, to have a piece of architecture somewhat preserved like this one is really rare the more north you get. A lot of the homes that were built by these architects started down in Point Loma, Mission Hills, even going into La Jolla. So the further you get up here, the less you see of these. So to have a post and beam modern home in Old Del Mar is a really kind of rare thing to see.
And this is unbelievably pristine. Like I can't even the plants are just perfect. It's picture perfect, like you said, just like the magazine.
And you can tell the love of the house just because of the way it's preserved, what went into it. And the fact that it looks so similar to what it looked like when it was built kind of showed the true love the owner had.
And
of
a
the
true
home.
vision for that time.
And
I
a vision
think.
for the time.
I mean, you know how people collect cars and art? Like I feel like someone's gonna wanna, if they love this architecture, they're gonna wanna collect this
It
house.
is, and that's my vision for the house, is to see somebody come in that collects architecture and that wants to keep the home and preserve it the way it is, just for future to see.
They want somebody like that Christopher is talking about, because it means so much to them to have the house preserved. They're like, please don't let a builder come and put something else, but it's truly meant to be here forever. Actually, there are houses very similar to this in Los Angeles, the case study houses that are like museums.
I'm
And I
glad you
think
brought that up too, because the case study houses were a big influence on Bob Jones when he started designing houses in the 1960s. He was really taking a good look at the case study houses and trying to find a more efficient way to build them and make them more attainable for everybody.
And he really did. They were able to do things in a very efficient, kind of modular way, like almost like cubes. And it became a really interesting form of architecture.
It did, and just talking about it now, I still get goosebumps, just like we did on the initial listing presentation, because it's so cool. And to be in something like this truly gives you a feeling of what it was like to live in the home back when it was built. And to have that feeling of kind of an old vintage vibe in Del Mar is just, it gives me goosebumps. And
It's
I
a
love it.
statement house, and like you said, it was photographed in magazines. It was photographed in
Several times, like local and national. Like when it was an American Home, that was the like magazine or journal for the young, kind of hip families that were not like hippie-ish, but they were kind of like swank and really like sophisticated. Like I see like the Mad Men theme, Martini Party.
Yeah, it was like the Elle Decor magazine of
Yeah.
its time.
So we've seen the stunning front and this beautiful living room, but I see a little snippet of a pool as well.
And that was something that was updated kind of after the kids were gone, which they were like, God, we wish we had this when we were young. So that's the part that's like completely kind of new and updated, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Yes. Even the pool is stunning. I can't believe that this was an upgrade and not even built with the original.
And I love how they kind of stuck along with the original vision of Bob Jones, the architect, and really kept it going throughout the house, throughout the updates. And speaking of the house being updated, that's not the only thing. The city of Del Mar is going through a few updates as well.
And it's pretty amazing. So the city of Del Mar is going through a renaissance right now. And so it's kind of like returning to it being an urban beach community where the shops and the restaurants are coming back to Del Mar. They've just redone all the cityscapes. There's some new restaurants and pubs coming in where the Del Mar Plaza was. So it's really like changing and becoming a really hip city again. And that fits really exactly into that, this house does.
Well, thank you for showing me this gorgeous masterpiece of a house.
Yeah, we're obsessed with it. So as many people as we can get out here.
That makes 3 of us.
I can't wait.